Mr. Chairman, Congressman Bill Bray, members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. My testimony will provide a financial community perspective on the major issues of financial institutions regarding investment in new nuclear power plants. In addition, I will discuss the role of the federal financial support in private sector decisions to invest in nuclear power. As the companies and their investors evaluate a potential new nuclear plant project, I believe that they will need to consider several factors. First, the companies and investors are mindful of the experience with construction delays, cost increases, and licensing and litigation delays for many of the existing plants that entered commercial operation in the 1980s and 1990s. They will want to be satisfied that the causes for these past problems have been addressed for any new project. Second, given the construction complexity and large capital investment for a new nuclear project, the companies and investors will want to be confident that a new project can be completed on budget and on schedule. Third, the companies and investors will want assurance that technology risk for the project is relatively low, because all of the new plant projects being contemplated use technology that is similar to the light water reactor designs of the existing plants, and because those plants have established a consistent track record of safe and reliable operation, I don't believe that technology risk is a significant factor. Fourth, the companies and their investors will want assurance that the risk of cost increases due to new regulatory requirements and licensing and litigation delays is acceptably low. The existing light water reactor technology in use today is much more mature than it was when many of the existing plants were licensed, and we now have an extensive base of successful operating experience with the existing plants. In addition, a number of issues, such as the post-3 Mile Island changes, fire protection, equipment reliability, material conditions and metallurgy, and maintenance issues have been addressed satisfactorily by the industry and the NRC. Further, over the past decade, we have had a period of regulatory stability with the NRC that has contributed to the successful operation of the existing plants. Thus, although there is the potential for additional regulatory requirements to address issues such as plant security and material condition as the existing plants grow older, the risk of costly and disruptive new regulatory requirements for new plants appears to be relatively low. Similarly, the adoption of a new licensing process by the NRC for future nuclear plants that is intended to address the causes of delays and cost increases in the past is encouraging. But until licensing decisions have been completed for a group of initial new plants, that new licensing process remains untested, and some uncertainty remains as to whether the process will function as it is intended. Fifth, the companies and investors will require assurance that the price of power to be generated by a new nuclear plant will be competitive with other alternatives, including coal and gas-fired generation and renewable energy resources. This may pose a special challenge for the initial group of new nuclear plants, because it is likely that the industry will incur $300 to $500 million in first-of-a-kind engineering costs for each new nuclear plant design in order to develop the detailed engineering design information required to satisfy the NRC's design certification process. Depending upon how these costs are allocated, this could significantly increase the cost of the initial new plants. And finally, as is the case with any new proposed generating project, the companies and investors will need confidence that the power from the new plant is needed and that the company will be able to recover its capital investment in the plant and earn a fair return on that investment. Mr. Chairman, I believe that a number of these factors can be addressed by the industry through the contractual arrangements for construction and risk sharing among the parties involved in designing, building, owning, and operating a new nuclear plant. But some factors, such as the magnitude, complexity, and large initial capital investment, including the engineering design costs that I mentioned, of a new nuclear project, and residual uncertainties associated with the new but as yet untested NRC licensing process, will likely require federal financial support to allow the companies and investors to move forward with new nuclear plant commitments. Mr. Chairman, I believe the financial support provisions in the Energy Policy Act of 2005, if properly implemented, can provide a sufficient basis to support the development and financing of new nuclear plants in this country. As you mentioned in your opening statement, there is clear evidence from the level of activity within the industry since the Energy Policy Act was enacted that these provisions in the Act are having their intended effect of facilitating and encouraging new nuclear plant development. Continued successful implementation of all three of the key financial support components in the Energy Policy Act of 2005 will be essential if this industry activity is to be converted into firm orders for new plants. Final implementing regulations are now in effect by the Department of Energy for the standby delay risk insurance provision and the Federal Loan Guarantee Program. In addition, final regulations are now in effect by the Internal Revenue Service for the production tax credit provision. In general, I believe that these regulations provide a workable framework for implementing the three financial support provisions in the Energy Policy Act. In particular, though, considerable work remains to be done regarding the Federal Loan Guarantee Program. And that's the area that I believe will require some additional ongoing congressional oversight and involvement with. Mr. Chairman, again, thank you for the opportunity to testify today, and that completes my
Thank you. And